Chapter 17, Opportunities to Escape from the Horde. Yan Mo deliberately did not let himself use a splint. He was afraid that the priest would see doubts, but he thought that something was fishy. Is this old guy not covered up after that day? Let the other side see it. If it was true that he didn't cover it that day, this old guy couldn't bear to mention it today. So is someone whistling? 1. Pretending like you didn't see anything. Yan Mo didn't believe anyone, even if the Cao master and he too expressed their affection for him, he also had some kind of affection for them. However, if it is the case of Cao and others, why didn't they say that he don't say it late? Do they have to wait for Yuan Zhan to come back and say? Why did Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao appear in the big tent at this time? Are they really Yuan Zhan friends? Well, Yan Mo habitually conspire to argue. One of his faults is that he thinks that things are complicated, and always thinks badly of things. He is a pessimistic. As the saying goes, the heart is more evil than the mind. His heart is dark, and naturally he will not think good about other people's minds. Yan Mo was still thinking about it. He even thought that if he could escape today, even if the value of scum broke again, he must make a bunch of offensive poisons and put them on his body. There are not many wrinkles on the old priest Chu Shi face, but each one was very deep, especially the 2 lines at the sides of the mouth are deep and long, making the face look extremely harsh and difficult to move when he was speaking. After he had finished the sentence, he paused for a while. When he looked up at the boy and looked up at him, he said again, "Someone's arm was broken when they were hunting the clouded leopard. Yuan Shan that was hunting with him at the time. Yuan Diao used wooden branches to fix his arm, and then tied it with a straw rope. After returning, they came to me to heal the broken arm. I know this broken bone fixing method." Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao said that this method was taught by you. Duren Chu Shi was staring at the young slave eyes. This method of fixing bones was only taught to Cao, so that Cao taught Yuan Diao for the safety of his master, and Yuan Diao taught it to Yuan Shan. Then the 2 used this method to save the hunting warrior's arm? Yan Mo figured it out. Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao were shaking at the moment of the priest's words, but they all shook a little, but they did not explain it. Is it Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao who sold him out? The boy looked at the 2 with amazement, and tears filled his eyes like he had been crying long ago. The most important thing is that the saving behavior expressed by Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao will not give him the reduction in scum value, but he has to bear the results. How does anyone really reconcile about it? Yuan Zhan didn't look at it. Even when he saw more of Yuan Shan, there was no such thing. It seems that the life and death of this slave and the confession of his friends are nothing to him. Even if the 2 people really betrayed him, he will only die now. The boy was full of panic and fear. "Hey, I swear to the priest, I don't know about it. I swear. I don't know who Dalai is, how can I kill him? Kill him." The old priest showed a scornful smile. He turned back to the stone platform. If he had doubts before, after seeing this little slave with his own eyes, this doubt would be cleaned up. How could such a good method be from such a child who was only a boy and timid one at that? It seems that De Shan and De Diao did not lie to him. The method may be as they said. After they saw De He's arm seriously injured, they were afraid to encounter the same injury as De He, and they thought and drummed out. The old priest did not think that the little slave was lying to him. He believed that a teenage child would not be able to fool his eyes even if he would pretend it again. Life experience was absolutely sneering in Yan Mo heart, who is rich in life experience than the old priests. This old thing is really swindling him. On the surface, he is acting as a young boy, panicking looking at Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao, shouting with a crying voice, "De Shan de Ren, De Diao de Ren, I beg you to tell the priests, this matter has nothing to do with me, Master, save me, he he." The boy crawled his legs and climbed hard to Yuan Zhan's leg. Held his legs and cry. Yuan Zhan kicked the boy with a kick and said coldly, "Will you kill him?" The old priest turned back. It's always bad to keep an outsider. If you don't know the origin of this boy, even if he is really a salt mountain, that is also a trouble. We have trading relations with the G people, let the G people know that we are taking their enemies. The chief who sat on the stone platform frowned slightly, and the old priest was a little overthinking things over a slave. As the leader of the warrior, Yuan Zhang also brought a little worry to see the youth crying. He hopes that the young boy can calm down. Yuan Zhang was really calm. He didn't even change the tone of his speech. Is T.A.G afraid of the G people? Nonsense. The old priest's expression changed, and he yelled in anger, you know that I don't mean that. That's good. The Yuan tribe's warrior took a slave, not by fearing in anyone. The old priest slapped a stone platform and yelled in anger, T.A.G, you forgot that the G people have now occupied the salt mountain. How will our need for salt will be exchanged with the G people in the future? Yuan Zhan said faintly, what about that? The old priest could not believe that the young man dared to face such a large number of people, especially in the chief presence. However, the identity of the other second-tier fighter meant that he cannot be free in punishing him. Immediately he turned with an angry look at Yuan Zhang, who was responsible for the tribal warrior's reward and punishment, with his eyes forcing him to take actions himself. The taller man walked to Yuan Zhang, they were at almost the same height, and slammed his chest and sighed. Chu Shida-ren worry is also reasonable. The old priest was happy, but the next sentence deflated the old priest's happiness. But my warriors, the Yuan tribal warriors, have never been afraid of anyone. Yuan Zhang's voice sounded, lightly drunk, T.A.G. Yes. If the G people provoke us for this, kill them. If the G people refuse to exchange coarse salt with us, kill them. If the G people fight with us, kill them. Good. Yuan Zhang gave Yuan Zhan a punch and returned to his original position. That's it. That kid is so arrogant and so rude to me, have you not seen it? The old priest was furious. He originally did not agree to let Yuan Zhang be the leader of the entire tribe, except the chief did not listen to him. The only man who was weak in this eyes is simply not qualified to be the next chief of Yuan tribe. Chief. The old priest glared at the chieftain with anger. The chieftain finally said, is the method of fixing the broken bone on the board really effective for the healing of the broken bone? The old priest did not understand why he would change the topic, but if the chief asked, the priest had to answer, there is a certain effect. If it's not very severe bone injury, this method can avoid the bone's deformation. The chief nodded, very good, in this case, it will give Yuan Shan and Yuan Diao a good work. Yuan warriors fist punched their chest, indicating that it was recorded. In addition, the child is a slave to T.A.G. It is found that the credit of the slave is recorded in the onto T.A.G. His share of winter food will be rewarded together tomorrow. Yes. The chief waved, T.A.G, there is no need for you here, take your slave back. Yes. Yuan Zhan bent over and pulled the boy, holding him and leaving. Wait. The old priest's face was blue. This must not be the case. Since he delayed Yuan Zhan in order to save Yuan Bing, Yuan Zhan's slave has become more and more interested in him. Now he dares to give him zero respect in front of the chief. This is embarrassing. If he endured this matter, how can he still have a prestige in front of the tribal warriors? T.A.G. Chief. Before the chieftain finished speaking, the old priest cut him off and quickly said, let T.A.G take over the slave. He has a bad leg and does need a slave. People who heard this felt no, it was too comfortable. Yuan Zhan has a problem with his left leg. Everyone knows it clearly, but he never said it as a soldier. Who is willing to admit that he is a disabled person? Why did the old priests ignore other issues and why he mentioned this matter? Everyone knows it. Yuan Zhan held his own slave and looked blank. Yan Mo squinted at the old thing and how much scum points he might be adding by killing him. But killing him does not mean that he will be having better days in Yuan tribe, and if an old priest will die, and a new priest will come out, regardless of whether Yuan tribe is waiting for the priest, compared to him. The outsiders who are intentional speculation are naturally worthy of being convinced by their priests. T.A.G, what do you want to say? The chief said with a little annoyance. The old priest thought of something and his face had a big smile. I just asked T.A.G did he forget that his tribe had to exchange rough salt with the G people? He answered me, what about it? His tone was so light, he was not even worried about the importance of the tribe's salt. He must have discovered a new salt-producing land in the war, or he is about to find out. How long does it take for the chieftains and my tribe's salt to be depleted? As soon as this was said, everyone understood the old priest's plan. In his heart, Yan Mo raised the middle finger to the old priest, secretly ridiculed the owner of that moldy hair, but turned to think, his heart suddenly jumped. This is obviously an opportunity. The opportunity he had been searching for was already sent to him. Yuan Diao, who have never had an opening, have a look at each other. Yuan Diao wanted to speak before the next step. The chief raised his hand and stopped Yuan Diao and other people from speaking. He replied, after this hunting, the salt will be depleted. Before the winter, you must exchange enough coarse salt for the whole winter. You know this. Yuan Zhang looked at Yuan Zhan. T.A.G, have you found a new salt-producing land? Yuan Zhan wanted to answer honestly, and was pinched by Yan Mo with his nails. The old priest did not want to give Yuan Zhan the opportunity to open the door. He immediately ordered, T.A.G, for the whole tribe, are you willing to go and find a new salt-producing land? Yuan Diao could not help but interjected, Chief, priest, the winter is coming, is this really the time to go out? The old priest simply ignored him. He was only staring at Yuan Zhan's face and laughed and asked, why, won't you dare? You just said that as a warrior of Yuan tribe you are willing. Are you afraid of anything? He didn't say that. Yuan Zhan was not affected by the priest's radical method. But regarding the salt land, he and others also talked about hunting for new salt-producing land. The G people are different from the Salt Mountain. This is an insatiable tribe. Later they will control the Salt Mountain, and when the tribes wants to change the salt, and they will have a big bleeding price attached. 1. Basically the G people will raise the cost of bartering. For this reason, it is imperative to find a new salt-producing land or a salt-producing tribe, and this matter was originally intended to be discussed with the chief, and it would be planned once the spring seasons comes they will set out again. Now the old priest spoke, but only spoke things ahead of time. Yan Mo pinched Yuan Zhan and shouted in his heart, agree. Hurry and agree. This is definitely a chore for Yuan Zhan, but isn't it a good opportunity for Yan Mo to leave Yuan tribe to find another place to disappear to? Although the timing and season are not very good, he does not want to wait for a second better chance. More than Yuan Zhan, he had to think about flicking some people to make tag along, otherwise he and Yuan Zhan as the only two traveling the road is too dangerous. What should I do? Yan Mo's brain turned quickly and all kinds of bad ideas came. Yuan Zhan looked to the chief. The chieftain is indulging. Someone spoke, Chief, I have something to discuss with you. The chief seemed to be waiting for this sentence, and he immediately waved his hand, all of you leave. He and the priest were left alone. Yes. The soldiers screamed, they followed Yuan Zhan and walked out of the big tent. The best opportunity for the old priest was slip away. He immediately screamed at chief. I didn't see it. The chief sighed. Priest, you are old, sit down, the issue about looking for a new salt-producing land is not a trivial matter. This can only be done by one person. I'm only thinking for the goodness of the tribe. I know. Chief tried to appease the old priest and let the tent curtains fall down. Yuan Zhan and others withdrew from the big tent. As soon as they left the big tent, the expressions on several people immediately became active. A young warrior seems to want to say something to Yuan Zhan. He was pulled by the red date male. Brother, if there is something to say it tomorrow. Yuan Lai looked back at the big tent, and raised his right arm and looked at Yuan Zhan. Smacked his chest, and left with the brothers. Yuan Zhan did not talk to Yuan Diao and other people, he only had a cold face, he held Yan Mo and hurriedly left. Poorly, this baby just painfully pinched him, he probably couldn't stand it. If he didn't see the blood flow of the little slave, he would not be able to endure it until now. Yuan Diao sent Yuan Zhan away. After he was watching and seeing no one around, he elbowed Yuan Shan with his elbow. He could not help but snorted, "The old guy is getting more and more embarrassing." We clearly said nothing, he planted us on the spot. Yuan Shan I looked forward, and his lips moved slightly, he wants to cut him off. After all, little Mo is not only unknown now, but when he become known, the big cock had come out and croon, and the method of fixing the broken bone with wooden branches has also already taken off. Chu Shida-ren will suspect that he is also normal. More than that, he probably wants to provoke our relationship with Dajan. He never wants us to get too close to big brother Dajan. Old thing, old and confused, the Xirang clan was in the tribes no longer than our Faisha clan. Dajan was born in the tribe is family, and the man root is from founding clans of Yuan tribe. How can he still have a confounded brain of thinking Dajan can be kicked out? The old things should then repelled like this priest, and the original dissident will be forced out by him. Yuan Diao's voice was cold and chilly, he didn't want to treat Yuan Bing saying that he was not seriously injured because he was not born Yuan tribe member, but he wants to kick Dajan out. Yuan Shan disdainfully laughed. The old thing wants to make Da Bing has become the next generation chief, and you have to see if the person can win it. Who is the original blood of Yuan patriarch of Yuan tribe? Who is the boss of the tribe? Is it? The priest is afraid. What are you afraid of? You and I are the blood of the Faisha people. Why will he want to kill us in the future? Yuan Shan was dissatisfied and his face was full of murderousness aura. That old thing actually wanted to make Dajan go out in winter so he can go to find a new salt-producing land. Isn't this like forcing Dajan to his death? His legs will hurt him even more in the winter, and the thing is it is not unknown. What is the plan the chief will follow? Isn't it he wants to toss away the old priest? He is not afraid of the old priest. Then you thought the chief didn't want to get rid of that old thing? If it wasn't for Chu Ning, he would get all the priest's inheritance. Yuan Diao and Yuan Shan talked louder and lower, and later vented their annoyance, but also for the eyes and ears. Their sounds were mixed into the square and were like other noises until the crowd quickly dispersed before returning to the tent area.